Doc Rivers continues to, time and time again, not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play! Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big football show. Nice to have you back, everybody. What a great week it was for us in the picks. We really had a really good eye for the point spreads and the odds this weekend. So try to keep it continued this week. Not a lot to speak of at all on the field. What a terrible week of football it was all across the board in both sports. There were a couple of good games, but really, honestly, not a lot to talk about. My name is Dave Medina, and it's nice to have you all back. We do this podcast every week on our podcast feed, and we also are simulcasting this on the Sandwich Show here on Twitch. You also know him as Dave E's eating a sandwich over there on that platform. And our co-host tonight, John in Connecticut, Andy in Seattle, and sending the picks via the text. We'll be seeing picks from our friends Kevin on the Cape and Ron in New Jersey. Ron sent some cool videos of this incredibly talented kid playing football. And last night, I believe, it was over on Discord, so it was really good to see that. Ron says he'll be back next week. Hopefully that'll be the case, and we're all hanging. I had some dental surgery today at a root canal. We survived. We are okay. Some sordid news regarding the root canal, but that you can cover that on Discord. Breddington Frothing Sauce, welcome in. Go sports. Go Philadelphia sports. Your Philadelphia teams are just killing it. I mean, the Phillies made the World Series and all the whole thing. That's exciting stuff. So let's go ahead and bring our panel in. I mean, after we recap everything, of course, as I mentioned, really just great stuff across the board. Hopefully I don't mush anything for this coming week, but it's good to see the course correction taking place so far. And we head into Halloween weekend with a good head of steam. Let's hit it. All right, football picks week 9. And we mentioned it, man, just everybody doing pretty well over the past weekend. John went 3-1 in picks. Andy went 3-1 in picks too. Kevin was tied with both of them, going 3-1 in the picks on this night. And just behind Ron in New Jersey at 2-2, and I had the 2-2 record as well. Pretty good stuff all the way across, and it gives us these standings after 8 weeks. Here's what it's looking like. So John now is climbing to first place. We've had a lot of activity in the last few weeks here. People changing places left and right. Good spot. It's a good spot. And we're getting closer to 500 too, which is good. Andy's in second place at 14-16. You have Ron in third place at 13-17, and Kevin tied with Ron in third place at 13-17 as well. Dave is in last at 12-18. Back-to-back 2 weeks. Generally speaking, that's pretty good, but I would like to do a little better this week. We'll see if we can get above 500 for the week this time around. Tara, welcome in, Tara. How you doing? This is just the China troller I was hoping for when we moved over to Twitch. It's good to see you again, Dave. You're lacking. I know it. But let's go say hi to our friends again. So let's go. First, we're run over to our good friend John in Connecticut. John, nice to have you back on the program. How's it going tonight?
What's up, Dave, and all the Twitch viewers? Glad that we all had a good week. The first week we had a big audience, so that's pressure's off a little bit now. Anyway, like we can at least show that we can take a few games here. But Dave, I guess the question is, how are you even functioning right now? Didn't they give you like all sorts of drugs for that kind of thing?
Well, it's surprisingly they. Not as bad as you'd think. It's really just akin to what you'd get for a filling. I thought they'd put me under and all that, but apparently when it comes to root canals, the times that at least this kind that they were doing, it was just kind of gave you the regular amount of anesthetic, and actually doing okay. I don't even feel that bad. I took some Advil after the procedure and doing okay. So there you go.
Well, hopefully we'll keep it continued. Don't mush your own recovery.
Well, I mentioned it to you in the text. If it goes south, you are welcome to take over as host for the rest of the night. But let's hope you're right. Let's just cross our fingers on that. Andy, welcome in. How's it going tonight?
Pretty good. App State, Georgia State, Sunbelt. No, that was last week. Remember last week? So yeah, Doing all right. I gotta like bounce every like 30 minutes or so doing the laundry just like last week, but doing all right. Hope your root canal is all good and ready to talk sports. I can't believe. Never mind. I was gonna say something about the Yankees, but too much stuff.
What a year.
Too much stuff.
Dave,
going on.
you can mush some action next week when we're on the show here.
Nice.
We'll have some games going. So
Where's
beautiful
Kevin?
time to do it.
I've been missing. Well, Kevin, unfortunately, his family's been fighting some of the vid in the last week or
Right.
so. It's a tough spot. So Kevin's kind of still trying to come back from that himself a bit. So he'll send the pics via the text tonight, everyone. And yeah, get well soon, Junkie family. We're all thinking of you. But last week's action on college again. Like, what are we going to recap? Like, there's really nothing to talk about. Like, I mean, I think the Big 12 had good action. I guess I'll be fair. I think the Oklahoma State game against Texas was awesome. That was a great game. But John, I'll give it to you first. I mean, what can you pick out of a week that had a lot of blowouts, a lot of rough games? Ohio State, Iowa, no exception to that. What were your thoughts on last week in college football?
Oh, Dave, we could recap. We could do a couple minutes on every game if we really wanted to.
Okay.
But for the sake of time, we won't do that. I honestly only really got to watch the noon window last week. We had like a get together with coworkers and whatnot. After that, so I was just more so following games on the phone for the rest of the day and the night. Although I did see the Cal Washington game because that was one of my picks, so I had to end up watching that one. That was stressful, but we got home there with the plus 7.5. So always love that hook. But yeah, I guess we'll start off with the Clemson Syracuse game. The fact that Clemson is, what are they, ranked number 5 in the country? It's like kind of a joke. And you know what? They very well might make the college football playoff because their schedule is so weak, and they're going to end up playing just a joke team from the other division in the championship game. So, and then they have like kind of that equity built in as like a brand that they're gonna put them in the playoff over, say, maybe like a 1-loss Oregon or maybe a 1-loss Big 12 team, which is kind of sad because I think if you put Clemson up against like Oregon right now or Clemson against, I don't want to say TCU, but like maybe Oklahoma State or one of those teams, like it'd be a very competitive matchup. But that's kind of the way, we'll evaluate the playoff scenarios later on down the road. But for this particular game, Syracuse, kind of a whiff on our part. Me and Andy were texting about it. Like, should have seen like this. Syracuse was playing really solid all year, undefeated team. Clemson a little overrated, and DJU gets benched after just some horrible interceptions. Give credit to the Clemson defensive line for kind of stepping up in the second half, and Syracuse couldn't do anything after halftime. There's a questionable call, like there's a 3rd and 25 play, and the Clemson quarterback got hit like right on the edge of the sideline. And of course, the refs, they throw the flag, and that like kind of sparked their comeback in the second half. And there's almost like a little bit of a quarterback controversy because, like I said, DJU gets benched, Klubenik comes in, and then after the game, Dabo Sweeney's like, "Oh, well, there's no controversy here. DJ's the starter." Well, what happens if he goes out and shits the bed again in the next game and throws all kinds of interceptions? You're going to be putting the other guy in. So this is going to be interesting to watch. They play Notre Dame coming up. I mean, Notre Dame isn't great, but they do have a really good home field advantage. So I think that'll be a pretty competitive game. We'll see what happens there next week. But like I was saying, even if they lose, it's not a conference loss. So, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But, Syracuse had a chance at the end of the game. Dino Babers completely fucked up the clock management, just like letting 30 seconds run off the clock. After they had stopped him on 3rd down before Clemson kicked the field goal, they could have used some more time. But Schrader throws the interception at the end, and that was it. And Clemson escapes with the win. The Iowa. The only way Iowa scored is how you would think, a defensive touchdown. Like what a joke. It's laughable. Like they legit have the worst offense and the best defense in the country. It's like you can't get more polar opposite than that. And it's just hilarious. They opened the line this week, Northwestern Iowa. The total was 31. It was like the lowest over-under in like the history of recorded betting.
Wow.
It's since been bet up because I think, people that was just way too low. But I think it's like 36 or 37 now. But it was just hilarious to see that posted on Sunday night. Cincinnati and SMU was an interesting game. SMU really unimpressive, and then all of a sudden they found it in the fourth quarter and get 2 touchdowns, and they covered the 3 points. So that was kind of a gift if you had them. The Baylor Kansas game, I watched like this whole game, and Baylor was up 28-3. The dreaded 28-3 lead in football. It's like the most non-safe lead here.
Yeah.
In recent years. And, Kansas comes back with the help of some Baylor turnovers and just the worst refs I've ever seen. Like, Baylor goes for this quarterback sneak. And clearly on the video, the guy is 2 yards past the line of scrimmage or the line to gain. But the ref marks it back where he gets pushed back to, like after forward progress was pushed back. And they don't even review it. Like, there's no like buzz down to the officials for a review. And of course, Kansas, ends up scoring 3 plays later and is within the number. And thank goodness Baylor scored a touchdown at the end of the, towards the end of the game to cover. But that would have been the most ridiculous loss all weekend if you had Baylor, laying the 10 points. But that was a game that I was really interested in for betting purposes. Miami continues to be a complete shit show. I think they had 8 turnovers, which is just unfathomable. And they lose to Duke. LSU beats Ole Miss. We called it here. Both of us called it that unranked home favorite angle over Lane Kiffin, and Brian Kelly gets it done. We'll see what Ole Miss is made of now as they go on the road again to Texas A&M. Oregon UCLA, again, I didn't see this game, but it didn't seem like much of a game. It seemed like Oregon dominated from start to finish. Really good offensive performance from what I could tell from Bo Nix. Spencer Sanders did play for Oklahoma State, and that ended up being the difference. They beat Texas at home. From what I could tell, Quinn Ewers didn't have the best game. They kind of got up early and then really didn't do much after that, and Oklahoma State was able to come back. Let's see. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Alabama with the blowout win. Mike Leach, their offense could never get anything going against Alabama, and that was proven again. Big win for East Carolina in the American over UCF. If you stop UCF's run game, like they're in trouble because Plumlee cannot throw the ball. And that's kind of what East Carolina did. And I guess the last game I'll mention, Kansas State and TCU. Now, this game was just brutal because following it on my phone, Kansas State is up 28-10. I'm getting 4 points. It's like, oh, man, this is great. Like, it's going to be an easy win here. And, like, they go down to, like, their 4th-string quarterback. Martinez gets hurt. Backup Will Howard gets hurt. You're down to your 3rd stringer, and Kansas State didn't score a single point after that. TCU with some magic, and their offense is pretty good, and they're able to get back in the game, and they somehow cover. So we're still going to be, a foreshadow of what's to come here for the picks tonight, but we are not a fan of this TCU team. So yeah, that's pretty much my recap. I'm sure Andy can fill in some more gaps on some of the games I didn't mention or the ones I really wasn't able to get to watch. But yeah, it was, Dave, we cherish every Saturday here with the college football slate, even if there's not a ton of, games affecting the national scene. Because we've got sports and bets and whatever else going on. So I thought it was a good Saturday.
That's well said. I mean, look, I definitely was down on it, but you mentioned a couple of very good games, and I forgot to bring up the Clemson game. That was a good game. I mean, sucks for Clemson, like going up as many points as they did and losing, but what can you do? Let's go welcome Angel805 to the program. Nice to see you in the chat. Welcome in. And the mod father Stuart Hayek. Well, it's good to see you again. I know you've been streaming with your daughter Jillian Hayek, so they're doing that thing all week. So you catch their whole thing at Jillian Hayek's channel over on Twitch. Now back on this football side. Andy, I felt like the turning point of the UCLA game was when Oregon scored and they kicked the onside kick and they recovered it. And it's like from that point I was like, yeah, they're done. Like they're done. Like so. Anyway, let's get your recap of last week's action.
Yeah, Dave, I thought it was a great Saturday.
Okay.
I mean, I know there wasn't a ton of no big upsets, but from a gambling standpoint, it was great. And I wish we could have more of these. And yeah, there's only 5 more full slates. So, as John said, cherish them. We're on week 9, and there's really only 13 full slates. Thanksgiving week is still a full slate, but it's kind of carved up between Friday and Saturday. But yeah, to piggyback on John's Cal Washington game, I was riding Cal, and yeah, that was like the equivalent of having like, you know, I haven't had a root canal, but watching Cal Washington felt like a root canal. My God, that was the most painful win that because I watched that game from start to finish, and you know, you knew what Cal was doing, just ensuring Washington was gonna methodically move the ball, bend, don't break, and yeah, it was 6-0 at halftime or whatever, or 7-6. I think it was 6-0, but then you know, Cal can't move the ball, and they were doing all they can just to kind of slow down the Husky offense. And you know, Cal had to their credit, when they were down 14, they Plummer made a great throw on 4th and goal. Could throw it where he only could throw it for Cal to make the play. But yeah, Cal's offense is just so scrummy. But I'm not complaining because they covered, and you know, Oregon did what they need to do to kind of stay in that outside playoff chase. No one's going to kill them for losing by 40 points to Georgia week 1. You know, now Oregon plays at Cal, getting given 17.5. I might play Cal again. I might not watch it from start to finish, but I might play Cal. But yeah, I thought these games were fun. You know, Texas Tech beating West Virginia. Yeah, we called it with LSU, Mississippi State. Mississippi. It was like 14-3. It wasn't looking good, but like we mentioned last week, Ole Miss likes to start fast, and then they don't really do much in the second half. And they did very little, and LSU did a lot more. LSU basically outscored them like 40-3 once it, you know, from 14-3 to 45-17. Do the math. Just a rout in the Bayou. Last week for CBS. You know, I don't know if anyone on Twitch saw it, but we watched it. The North Texas UTSA game. Meat did not cover, but they did win. It was just a wild game. Nobody cares, but I care. The lead changed like 3 times in the last 4 minutes. You could watch it on the Stadium Network. So good for Meat. They are bowl eligible. The Mississippi State-Alabama game, yeah, we know Mike Leach is kind of a clown, and the offense can work sometimes, but for whatever reason, like it just so happens this is the 3rd year in a row where Mike Leach has had to face Alabama when Alabama is coming off a loss, and they just got absolutely destroyed. Now the tone was set. Mississippi State actually got the ball first. They elected to give me the ball first, and they got it all the way to like the Alabama 15, and they went for it on like 4th and 5, and the pass basically hit the Mississippi State receiver right between the numbers, but he dropped it. So it just set the tone for the Bulldogs, and you know, Alabama got their equilibrium, and they're ready to go to finish the season on a high note and see where the chips may end. You know, we'll see what happens in a month's time. What other fun games? Yeah, that Kansas State TCU game. I was on the other side. I actually had Sonny Dykes. I'm riding the Sonny Dykes train. I'm done riding the Sonny Dykes train now. I'll be Operation Fade Sonny Dykes. I think the pumpkin time will come. I don't know if it's going to come this week against West Virginia or the following week against, you know, Texas. They got a tough schedule coming up, but the Sonny Dykes pumpkin will appear, and I want to be there for it. It's been, you know, I'm thankful for riding TCU as long as I could, but yeah, they got the luck box last Saturday, as John mentioned. Kansas State was down to their like emergency quarterback who threw an awful interception. Then they bring back Will Howard, who's already gimpy as is, and he wasn't very good. So yeah, TCU just got a little lucky there because, you know, they're down 28-10. Most times that game's night, but you know, good for them, 8-0, but I don't think they're going to finish 12-0. So that was exciting in the Big 12. Yeah, as John mentioned, ECU, I wish I took them money line. I mean, obviously, I picked them getting the 5.5, but good for them. I hate Central Florida. Not a Gus Malzahn fan, and that worked out. John already mentioned the Baylor Kansas game. That Cincinnati SMU game was kind of, a lot of Lang until the Lou in the last minute. Cincinnati, I'm now pissed thinking about this game because they had no business having that game as close as it got. They were up 17-3 in the beginning of the game, and SMU was doing nothing. Cincinnati went for it on 4th and 1 instead of sneaking the ball. They handed it off. Next thing you know, SMU goes down the field now at 17-10, and the last backdoor drive, Cincinnati had like 3 penalties. 2 on like 3rd and long. It was just disgusting. And anyway, good for SMU to battle back. They didn't win, but they covered. And Cincinnati's just quietly plodding along at 6-1 or 7-1 or whatever. And now that Cincinnati plays UCF, I don't have to pinch my nose and pick that game. But what else? A couple more games here that were interesting. Maybe not. I'm just looking at my binks and the bunks. Oh, yeah. Our Coronation of Tulane getting their 7th win, solidifying and justifying their entry in the top 25. Although, as I texted to John, like they were in danger of giving up the backdoor cover. They're up 35-0 at halftime. Next thing you know, it's 35-21 Memphis ball. I'm like, what the, Willie Fritz take away, but they managed to end up covering. That would have been really nasty if they weren't able to cover -7 up 35-0 at halftime. That was pretty crazy for about 10 minutes in that game. But all in all, it was a very enjoyable Saturday. Utah State, Wyoming, San Diego State, Nevada, just bottom of the barrel Mountain West action, but I loved it. Ooh, the little testiness in the Brooklyn-Milwaukee game. But anyway.
I saw that. Royce O'Neal scenario?
Yeah, Steve Nash. But anyways, it was a great week 8. And, we got 5 more Saturdays to make more money and see what happens in the playoff. Oh, yeah, I'll say this about Syracuse and not Dabo Sweeney. He's a piece of shit too. But Dino Babers just does not know how to use a clock. I think they got intercepted on the last drive of the game anyway, but he wasted like a good 20 seconds not calling his last timeout while Clemson was just doing la-di-da stuff. And, that was just an embarrassing coaching decision. It didn't matter in the long run, but I'll probably take Syracuse against Notre Dame this weekend. But Clemson is not a playoff team. I'm sorry. They're just not.
Yeah, they definitely have been in a lot of ways, they've been underwhelming, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. So I kind of wanted Syracuse to win, but look, good on them. Here's a question I want to ask you guys before we go to picks. Because Kansas has slowly started to show some of its warts, particularly. I mean, we already knew that their defense is pretty bad. Do you think it's pumpkin time for them? John, I'll go to you first.
I mean, it doesn't help that Jalen Daniels isn't playing either.
Right.
I mean, their backup Bean is pretty good for being a backup. I mean, he was a starter last year, and he clearly has some ability, but Daniels is on another level, so they really miss him. And, their defense is really bad. So, I don't know. They just need to win one more game to make a bowl. I think they could probably do that. I mean, I think if you told Kansas fans before the year, would you take a bowl game? I think they'd take it. So, but yeah, they're not going to win the conference.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very fair assessment right there. I mean, definitely thought that there would be some sort of a course correction involved. So it's really no shame in losing to teams like Oklahoma. I was just looking at their schedule coming up. I'm like, man, there's going to have some tough games coming up too. Like Oklahoma State's no gimme. I mean, what do you think about Texas Tech? Do you think that? I don't know. And then you got Texas.
Where is it? If it's in Kansas, they got a shot at it.
It's in Texas Tech.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, and then Texas at home, and then Kansas State on the road. So yeah, it's gonna be there's gonna be some tough matchups there. But Andy, let me give you the same question.
Yeah, this is rubber meets road for Texas, but I mean they've already had a great season anyway. I think they'll be able to. I'm just looking at their schedule too, looking at oddities. The yeah, their schedule is very challenging. It's been a great year for them. I'm sure they'll be able to squeeze one more win. Do they not have 6 wins now? They're not bowl eligible.
Let us
I think it's
see.
5 right now. I could be wrong
Okay.
though.
5, yeah.
Yeah, I think okay. So they're 5-2
Mm-hmm.
or 5-3.
5-3.
5-3. Yeah, they need one more win. But I want to rewind real quick because now I'm getting extra bitter because it cost me a money line parlay. I had a Oregon, Texas Tech, Texas parlay, and as John mentioned that game, Texas, the Texas Oak State game again. Fucking Gundy riding that luck train. I think Ewers probably had his worst game. I know he's only had like a very small sample size, but he had his worst game in a Texas uniform. I also think he was hurt too because he had nothing on no zip on his balls, no zip on his throws, and then they just they didn't feed the running back, arguably the best running back in the country, and you just let Oak State get back in that game. You're up. I think they were up 17 at one point in the second half, but anyway, yeah, Kansas. It's been, as we talked about on this program, the Big 12 been sneaky fun to follow and gamble on a week-to-week basis. They might not have a playoff team, but I don't know. They're fun. They're fun to gamble on, and it's a couple more years of Texas, Oklahoma go to the SEC. It's going to be a brand new Big 12. But so this is, get your last, wax in for these traditional Big 12 matchups.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Andy. I mean, it's been a great run for Kansas, absolutely, because you're used to them winning 1 to 2 games a year, and here they are with 5. I mean, it's a great year. It's a great year. I do hope they can get that one win somehow. Not saying it's, so we'll see. Now let's go to the picks, and let's see, who will we start with today? Let's start with John in Connecticut. Went 3-1 last week. Nice run, John. I'll give it to you for the first word.
All right, Dave. So Andy set me up well there with the Big 12. So we're going to take the West Virginia Mountaineers plus 7.5 at home against the aforementioned TCU squad. And yeah, I think TCU is a little bit of a paper tiger. They easily could have lost that game last week against Kansas State, as we've documented. Kansas State up 28-10 and then down to their third-string quarterback. The week before, they needed a massive comeback at home to beat Oklahoma State. If you look at their road games, it was a back-and-forth game at Kansas. They only won by 7. They beat SMU by 8. Granted, they were comfortably ahead for most of that game, but still, it pretty much, the way their defense plays, it led to an 8-point margin at the end of the game. And then their first game of the year was at Colorado. We're not even going to count that. So, they haven't really gotten much of a margin on the road. Their defense is really bad. And I just don't trust a defense like that laying these kind of points on the road. And if anything has been shown with West Virginia being in the Big 12, it's that teams making the trip to Morgantown, it's definitely a home field advantage for them, and vice versa. When they make the trips out to Texas and Oklahoma and whatnot, it's tough for them. So this kind of adds up. JT Daniels has shown me enough as the West Virginia quarterback that I think they could score enough points here and take advantage of this pretty rough TCU defense. TCU is going to score for sure because West Virginia's defense is terrible. I envisioned this kind of like the Baylor-West Virginia game a couple weeks back that was like 43-40 or something. This is just going to be a crazy game. We'll take all the points, maybe sprinkle a little on the money line because I could see that, that Sonny Dykes train crashing here at some point. I agree with Andy, but we'll just take all the points and we'll take the 7.5 at home. So West Virginia plus 7.5, plus 7.5. That I hope is important at home versus TCU. And then game 2, because we pick all the big games here, we're going to go with Charlotte getting 16.5 points at Rice. I could not believe this line. I'd have to go back through I'd have to go through years of records to find the last time Rice was a 16.5-point favorite over anybody. I mean, granted, yeah, FCS teams, but over an FBS team, like when's the last time Rice was a 16.5-point favorite? And I understand why, like, this line is so inflated. Charlotte's been pretty bad this year. They just fired their coach, Will Healy, earlier in the week. But we've seen all these teams that fired their coach, like the very first week after that, they like kind of give like an inspiring performance. We know that Chris Reynolds is one of the better quarterbacks in the group of 5. If they don't turn the ball over, and that was part of the reason why they lost so bad to FIU last week. They had 5 turnovers. He played a miserable game. But if they don't turn the ball over, their offense can put up points on these Conference USA defenses. That's not a problem. Rice has had a pretty good year. You know, I think they're 4-3 right now or something like that. They're probably going to be in a bowl game, which is crazy to say. Rice is usually one of the doormats of the Conference USA, but they haven't gotten this kind of margin on anyone this year in the conference. They played to 3 points against FAU. Last week was an overtime game against La Tech. I just don't see why they should be 16.5-point favorites here. If you believe this line, this is saying that Rice is 30 points better than FIU, who was 14.5-point dogs last week to Charlotte. I just don't see this. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and Charlotte has quit, and this will be like 42-10. But I just think this is way too many points. I think Charlotte's going to give it an effort here. So we'll go with another Conference USA matchup. I'm sure everyone in the Twitch chat has been tuned into this game. Charlotte plus 16.5, West Virginia plus 7.5 are the college picks for week number 9.
But if these picks hit though, Conference USA is going to be popular amongst the Twitch.
Yeah, I had I had UTEP against FAU last week, so we're riding the Conference USA train here.
Absolutely. And then UTSA, Andy's been on UTSA all season, and well, he should be. They're doing great. So good luck to the picks, John. Thanks so much for those. Let's go to Ron's picks then, from sent in via the text. I'll give Andy some inventory to work with as well. So here they are. Ron's picks for week 9 in college football. Here we go. Let's start with this one. So he's going to start. Oh, he gave me the picks, right? I'm sure he sent them. Yeah, I just didn't write them down. But they're in my text, so I got them right here. Okay, cool. So Ron, first from the ranks of the college football. He's going to go with Georgia Tech getting 24.5. Let me figure out who they're playing. Georgia Tech against Florida State. Oh, that's a fantastic pick. That's a fantastic pick. I love this pick. That's a great call by Ron. So Georgia Tech getting 24.5. And game number 2, he's going to take Ohio State giving 15.5 at, I think that even it doesn't really matter where they're playing, and to be completely honest with you, but it is going to be against Penn State, who might just possibly be the most overrated team in the Big Ten this year. I mean, they are just, once you saw them play against Michigan and what they did, or really what they didn't do, I totally get it. So I'm with Ron on both of these. So Ohio State giving 15.5 against, I believe it's Penn State. Yeah, and I don't even care if it's at Penn State. I don't care what time, and it's at noon. No, I'm with Ron. So Ohio State minus 15.5. Georgia Tech plus 24.5 for Week 9 college football. All right, so let's go over to the picks I have for the week. Let's see what we got. Legacy. We're gonna go with these two for the Dave picks week 9 college football. We're gonna talk about 2 conference showdowns. One's a legit nationally televised showdown that deserves all the attention. Kentucky, Tennessee. Tennessee had Tennessee got through, did their job. They did a great job, taking down UT Martin. Let me tell you, I put that on the one to keep an eye on. That is a terrible job out of me. It was never a game. So Tennessee's looking good, but I still don't think their defense is really that great. And Kentucky, I seem to do this once a year where I think Kentucky can rise against a team and they don't. So I'm going to do it again. But I do think this is a little bit of a potential letdown for Tennessee. Kentucky's defense is good, because I think it is. And so we'll take a chance on Kentucky getting the 12.5 in game 1. Game 2, Oregon will absolutely be in a letdown spot. So Cal's a very interesting team in the sense that they really aren't good, but they're good enough to muck it up sometimes, and they did that against Notre Dame on the road, no less. And I feel like the same thing will happen with Oregon. One of the things about the Oregon Ducks is that they are notorious for playing shitty against bad teams. So it's always when you expect them to like blow away a team. This is when they don't. And Bo Nix throwing 5 touchdowns last week. I mean, do you really think that's going to happen again the rest of the season? Like, he might throw 5 touchdowns in 2 games, like in the next couple weeks. There's no way I'd see Bo Nix being that good 2 weeks in a row. So I think Cal will be very much in this game. I'll take them getting 17 at home. Hell yeah. So Kentucky getting 12.5 and California getting 17 are the 2 picks for week 9. And that leads us to Andy in Seattle. And Andy, we're ready for you when we're ready for you when you are with your picks.
Yeah, thanks. So I might have to take a checker on a checker with one of you guys because the games that I wrote, both of you guys picked them, at least a few of them. So the one game that neither of you picked, I will take. I'm going to go back to the ECU Friday night game at Brigham Young. I'm going to take the 3 points with the Pirates. This is just a familiar theme. I like to take ECU as a underdog with the big chubby quarterback, Colton Ayers, and BYU is a annual perpetual thorn in my side. Whenever I bet against them, they seem to do well. Whenever I bet them, they seem to lay an egg, like that Baylor game, week 2 or week 3, still driving me crazy. But BYU has not been a very good team against the spread this year. They're 2-6. They're just kind of they're an annoying team. Their coach is annoying. Their quarterback's annoying. Everything about them is annoying. And it's just I don't have a lot of stats to give you. I like ECU. I like the quarterback. BYU was like supposedly a potential, maybe this is the group of 5 team that can get to, one of the New York 6 bowls, but it's not looking that way because it can't. I think they already have 3 losses. I think they're 4-4 actually. Eddie, look it up, but I think they're 4-4, and they're just they're underwhelming. And like I said, I just like taking this ECU quarterback. He's a gunslinger. He might do some stupid things. That place kicker of theirs is just completely shot. We mentioned it last week. He was all conference preseason, and he missed another. I think he missed he missed like a chip shot field goal last week. So you do got to worry about that. But maybe that'll kind of promote them going forward on fourth down a little more, which is good. Getting 3 points. ECU +3 for game number 1. And God damn it, I don't know who to take. I could do checker on a checker with John with WVU, or I could take a checker on a checker with you, Dave, with Kentucky, because I do think Tennessee might be looking ahead to Georgia the following week. But I'm actually going to take neither, and I'm going to take Syracuse giving 2.5 against Notre Dame. I might be going to the Syracuse team. What's the saying? $1 late, $1 short. But whatever. This is an anti-Notre Dame pick. Sorry, John and Georgia. Sorry, everyone that roots for Notre Dame. Mike in Jersey, whoever it may be. They're down to their quarterbacks. It's like Drew Pine or whatever his name is. They're coming off a very uninspiring win against UNLV. If you took UNLV, that was a John recommendation, +26. You banked. The previous week they lost to Stanford as 14-point favorites. They're just not very good offensively. Defensively, they could hold their own. But as we know, Syracuse strength lies with the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. Could they be crestfallen with their bubble bursting against Clemson? Maybe. But they're at home at Carrier Dome. Should have some juice to it. Like I said, Notre Dame just doesn't really get the blood flowing. And I'm just going to, I might be hopping on the Syracuse train a week too late. But that's all right. That's all right. We'll see what happens. Give me the Cuse, -2.5, week 9.
All right, Andy, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I was teetering on that one too. I was Notre Dame has looked bad this year. They've been rough. All right, let's go to the picks from Kevin on the Cape. Let's go and let's see what we got here from our friend Kev. And here's the picks for NCAA week number 9. Let us see what he's got. Here we go. So Kevin on the Cape's picks. He first starts with a head-to-head pick. He's going to go head-to-head with Andy's pick. He's going to lay the points for BYU at home against ECU. So that's game number 1. For Kevin, game number 2, a very interesting pick. He's going to go South Carolina giving 3.5 against Missouri. The Gamecocks are at home for this matchup in Columbia. And we shall see. Good luck, Kevin. The picks again, BYU -3, South Carolina -3.5 for Kevin on the Cape in week 9, college football. All right, so that gives us a chance to take a look at the featured games this week in college football, and there are a bunch of them, actually a couple of good ones. So if we look at this, we've got Oklahoma State versus Kansas State. Kansas State is a little bit of a tough spot, though, as you all were talking about. The lack of depth at a quarterback all the quarterback injuries are kind of killing them here. So I am actually not sure if they can weather the storm here against Okie State, but I hope they do. I'll let you guys comment and see where you guys lean on that one. Florida, Georgia. It's a good rivalry. It's, as everybody knows, the world's biggest outdoor cocktail party. I don't know if Florida has it in them to hang with Georgia, but I hope they do. I think they have talent on the team, but Georgia's defense is on another level, to be fair. And the final game, we'll run down here from featured games. Number 19, Kentucky against number 3, Tennessee. I mentioned that in picks. I do hope Kentucky can have something here. I mean, it's what their offense can bear. I can't really make a call on it at this point, but Tennessee's defense presumably should be leaky enough to keep them in the game. I think we'll find out. So, folks, let's break down the featured games and any other action in Week 9. John, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, Andy's in the laundry room. So,
okay.
So yeah, definitely I'll go first. Dave, you didn't put the Big Ten matchup on there. Ohio State, Penn State. How could you forget? I mean, come on. Big noon Saturday. That's going to be, they got the whole crew there. And
dude, last week was Big Joke Saturday.
Yeah, they're ruining the sport with that. Like, I don't know. I mean, seriously though, like that would usually be like a 7:30, 8 o'clock like whiteout game at night at Penn State. Like,
it did surprise me, yeah.
Legit, like that could be like a good atmosphere, like to watch college football, like the game on TV. And now it's just like, all right, it's like just kind of a dull just start to the day watching Ohio State and Penn State, but whatever. But yeah, I mean that's kind of a Ohio State. It's ridiculous. This is their second road game of the year. It's fucking Halloween. They've only played 2 road games. Like it's crazy the way the Big Ten just like protects them with the schedule and how they schedule themselves. But I mean, you shouldn't really expect anything else. So I don't know. Like that, it's over 2 touchdowns. Like Ohio State's definitely going to win, but I could see Penn State getting a cover there. Maybe, I don't know. I just anything Big Ten I try to stay away from with these picks because it's just so blah. A lot of the games. But yeah, the ones you mentioned on the screen, I can't really have an opinion on that Kansas State Oklahoma State game until we get some more news about the quarterback situation in Kansas State. If Adrian Martinez is in, or even if Will Howard is in, I think excuse me, I think they'd be fine because both those guys look good. It's just when the third stringer came in that they had some trouble. The spread right now is Kansas State -1.5. So that leads me to believe that one of those 2 guys is going to play. because I don't think they'd be favored with the third string quarterback. They have a really good defense, so I would lean towards them if I knew that the quarterback situation is settled. But again, we got to monitor this later on in the week. You have Florida, Georgia on there. Yeah, it's a good rivalry. That's about it. So Georgia's going to win. That's really all you need to know. From a gambling standpoint, I mean, the spread's 22.5. It's a lot of points, but I don't know. I definitely wouldn't want to be on Florida in this one. That's for sure. I'm not saying I'm going to bet Georgia. It's just Florida's, their defenses look pretty poor recently, and we know, Georgia can just, probably scheme things up to stop Anthony Richardson. So I don't know. It's just I just hate like a big spread like that because if Georgia gets up like 31-0 or something, and then Florida gets 10 garbage points in the fourth quarter, like you don't cover. So I don't know. I'm probably staying away from that. I do agree on your assessment of Kentucky, Tennessee. Definitely thinking Tennessee's going to be looking ahead to that game against Georgia next week. Kentucky's got a really good defense. They're coming off a bye, so Will Levis should play. I think they can definitely stay in this game. So I'm with you on that pick with Kentucky. So we're going to ride the Wildcats there, and who knows? Maybe they'll win the game. That'll be interesting. That'll really throw a wrench into things since everyone's undefeated Georgia Tennessee showdown next week. Some other games here that you don't have on your chart. Tomorrow night we have a slate of 3 games, so we're going to be into that. 2 of them not so much. I mean, Vodtech, NC State, like they could be playing that in my backyard. I don't think I'd want to watch any of that game. That is just really rough. Although I don't see how NC State's -14 with their backup quarterback. I might bet Virginia Tech, but not watch the game. That's kind of one of those deals. Louisiana Southern Miss is a good game in the Sun Belt, so we kind of have our eyes on that. And then Utah at Washington State for some Pac-12 action. Now that's where you want to spend your time watching college football tomorrow night. Probably go with the home dog there. Go with the Cougars getting 7. Utah has been kind of shaky on the road. Their defense isn't quite what it was. We'll go with Cam Ward and the Cougars at home to do something there, getting 7. And yeah, Friday night, I'm into that East Carolina BYU game for sure. I think the over's probably the look. BYU's defense is just absolutely miserable. They played Liberty last week, and Liberty's third string quarterback put up like 40 points, and they lost by 27. So it's a good spot for BYU coming off of that loss. And then East Carolina coming off that huge home win. Now they're traveling west for a non-conference game. Like, I don't know if East Carolina's going to be up for it, but I do think they're going to score. So I think over's the bet for that game. So yeah, decent Thursday and Friday night slate. I mean, you do have La Tech and IU on Friday too, but who cares? Now we care. We might make a bet, but for our purposes here, talking about the games, we really don't care. Let's see here. Some other games on Saturday that are kind of interesting. And honestly, there's a lot of teams on byes this week. This is like the smallest slate of the year in terms of actual games. Cincinnati UCF. Like, that's a really good game. Don't know who to go with this one because I think Cincinnati's kind of fraudulent, but also I'm not a fan of UCF. I think I would lean UCF just because of the home field advantage in this one. And I think Cincinnati's not quite as good as they have been in the past. They're just kind of scraping by these games. And, like Malzahn, he's doing the same shit at UCF as he did at Auburn. Like, he lose to Vanderbilt and then beat Alabama. It's like the same thing here. Like, you beat you lose to ECU, now he'll beat Cincinnati, that kind of thing. Let's see what else. Michigan State Saturday night. I mean, it's a 20-point spread. There's just no juice in that. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Surprise on this line again. Ole Miss only -2. That's kind of telling you, like, go with the Aggies here. I know it's not the same scenario with the ranked team, but I mean, A&M is a complete mess right now. Like, they've lost like 3 in a row. Players are leaving the program. Like, you're hearing all this turmoil, yet they're getting it's only a 2-point spread at home. Like, something fishy there. So we might be on A&M. I also was looking, and they haven't played a home game since the Miami game, and that's the weekend I was in Las Vegas. That's like 6 weeks ago. They played the neutral game against Arkansas. Then they had a bye, and then they had like 3 road games. They haven't played a true home game in 6 weeks. I think that's probably a good spot. And I'm talking myself into it here. Betting A&M. You have your degenerate specials on late night, actually 4 games this week. So we're going to get into this. Stanford, UCLA, Nevada, San Jose State. What else here? San Diego State, Fresno State, and then Hawaii and Wyoming for the true degenerate game kicking off at midnight Eastern. So yeah, we'll have some action on all 4 of those in some way, shape, or form. My early lean for like my best play out of all those, I would say San Diego State getting 8.5. I know Fresno seems to have turned the corner just a little bit since they've kind of balanced themselves since Jake Haener got injured, and they had a couple losses, and the last couple weeks have been impressive. But they played New Mexico, and they played another one of those garbage teams. I think San Diego State, as bad as they've been, I think they still have a good defense, and they put in a new quarterback recently who's done okay. So I think I'll grab the points there with the Aztecs on that game. But yeah, always love to have the 4 or 5 like late night games for when you're chasing, and then 2 more games. One of the biggest games of recent memory for my Huskies at home against Boston College, getting 7.5. Let's go, baby! Like we're gonna ride the 7.5 and the money line. This BC team is horrible. They have no running game. They have no offensive line. Quarterback is pretty good, Jerkovic, and they have an NFL caliber wide receiver, but that's it. UConn they're coming off a bye. Like they're going to be ready for this game. I trust in Jim Mora, and line's only 7.5. We'll take it with the spread and the money line. If I could bet, we can't bet on the Connecticut teams, but my recommendation, I think UConn will come to play this week. And then of course the battle of the independents, New Mexico State and UMass, a game only a few people could love. What a matchup. That's like the worst game of the card. But hey, you know what? Someone's got to win. I would say, take UMass plus 2.5. I don't know how you could lay points on the road against anybody with Mexico State. But yeah, I like the card this week. I know it's smaller, but lots of interesting matchups. And notice how we didn't mention any like ACC or Big Ten. Those conferences can like get fucking lost.
A little bit with the BC game, but you're right.
A little bit. But why? But it's like they're playing. BC was playing. Virginia, like I could give 2 shits. They're playing like my team, and I actually might go to the game, so it'll be a good time. Hopefully, I get to see them win.
I love it a lot.
Should be fun.
I learned my lesson with Boston College too. Man, I thought they'd actually hang with Wake Forest, but no, like you said, they can't run the ball. That team stinks. Like that was one of the worst picks I made all year. Okay, Andy, let's get your thoughts on this week's action. As we mentioned, there's some juice in here. What do you think about?
There's always juice in college football. Like you can't replicate college football juice with NFL. You can't. Fight me. You can't. Yeah, and just the degenerate vibes that it brings. Like I'm starting with Wyoming, Hawaii. I don't care. I'll be watching Team Pro Sports on my mobile phone at 9 p.m. out here. That game just gets more interesting because Wyoming's better than we all thought. Now Wyoming's fighting for a bowl. 5-3 Wyoming, 2-6 Hawaii. Why wouldn't you watch?
I'd watch
because you might be doing more risky things on a Saturday night. But I'll be watching. Yeah, John mentioned San Diego State, Fresno. So the quarterback now for San Diego State is a converted safety. The first game he played, he threw like a safety, but now he throws like a quarterback again. And yeah, I actually watched way too much of the San Diego State Nevada game last week, and down 16, I was getting 7.5. That was a bunk, but down 16 with like 5 minutes left. Nevada punted from the San Diego State 40, and I was tweeting, and people were also like, "Who the fuck punts down 16 from the other team's 40?" Well, Nevada did, but so that coach just like didn't care, and the CBS Sports crew was like, "Why isn't he taking timeouts left when there's like 2 minutes left?" And yeah, he just wanted to go home. But yeah, there's some degenerate action. Yeah, I'm all aboard Jimbo against Lane, that Saturday night game in College Station. Yeah, very Jekyll, very Hyde, this Texas A&M team. This is the same team that basically had Alabama dead to rights about a month ago in that ill-fated 4th down play. We all remember it. Well, maybe we don't remember it, but you get it. Like they lost by 4 to Alabama in a very seesaw game. And yeah, then the same A&M team gets embarrassed at South Carolina just a week ago. So I'll be taking A&M in that game. I'm just kind of scrolling through here. Yeah, Baylor, Texas Tech. I'm taking Texas Tech. They use all three quarterbacks like they did last week. Remember, we were talking about, I don't know which quarterback it's going to be, the true freshman, Donovan Smith or Shue, but they all played last week. So it's a three-headed quarterback attack for the Red Raider offense. Actually, Shue didn't play. Funhouse me. The two-headed quarterback for the Red Raider offense. I'm sure John might fade Willie Taggart again. UAB going to Boca Raton. Coastal Carolina Marshall's a pretty sneaky, degenerate game on the NFL Network. Now, that's a game that should be on tonight. That should be a game. That should be the Sun Belt game tonight that we should be watching instead of the fucking Nets choke clowns. They just need more time to gel, though. Right, Gamble? Idiot. What else do we got? Yeah, Florida, Georgia. I know you guys were already talking about that. That's just like a game that you kind of have to watch, at least for a half. I always like to watch the Army-Navy game. I always watch Alabama-Auburn. Always try to watch Oklahoma-Texas. Always try to watch LSU-Florida. Always try to watch Tennessee-Alabama. Always try to watch USC-UCLA. You get the idea. Florida-Georgia is just one of those games that it might be 1965, it might be 2015, it might be this year. You just like to watch and get a taste of that long traditional rivalry. Oak State, Kansas State, we'll have action on that. I'll probably take Kansas State because this Gundy train, it's got to end at some point. Although I don't know with Kansas State's quarterback situation, might have to reconvene on that. Notre Dame or Northwestern Iowa, no. Cincinnati, Central Florida, good God. I have to pick that. John, why is I guess SMU got no defense, but that's in Mordecai's questionable. That's a weird line.
I like Tulsa in that one. If I had to pick, SMU has not impressed me at all the last month or so.
Yeah. Speaking of ACC purgatory, you want to be getting up at 11:30 a.m. in Virginia watching Miami and the Cavaliers battle it out. It's funny, both those. I mean, Miami was considered a dark horse contender to get to the ACC championship game. I think we all talked about that in August. That Mario Cristobal hire. He just needs his guys, though, I guess. I don't know. And then, Ohio State, Penn State, no. I don't care if that's the Herb Street. No, that's the Gus Johnson 9 a.m. game. No. Sorry. Michigan State, nope. The next Big Ten game will be Michigan, Ohio State Thanksgiving weekend for me. And, tomorrow's game, I will probably take Washington State. John kind of taught me this theory of just fade take the underdog in the Sun Belt games, and it's been working. Having said that, I probably take Southern Miss tomorrow. It's like a pick 'em or -1, so you're really splitting hairs there. And then I don't know, Dave, I'm with you. I could have taken both checker on a checker with your pitch. I'm probably going to take Cal getting all those points against Oregon. They have to have a little bit of a letdown after just destroying UCLA. Although, going back to that Justin Wilcox, Will Plummer is detrimental to one's mental health. But whatever. What are you going to do? And, we're getting to the nitty-gritty time. A lot of teams have played 8 of their 12 games. So we're going to see how it all shapes up. And there'll be a large card on Saturday with all the sports, all the college games for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for the previews, everybody. Let's go move ahead to the NFL action. So let's take a look at what happened last week. So if we look at it, at the well, again, I don't. It was kind of ugly in a lot of ways for a lot of the games, but so I'm just gonna go right to John. John, let's get your thoughts on last week's action.
Yeah, we'll start with the two. The headline is Brady done? Is Rodgers done? Can they, or the two goats? Their teams are awful. Well, they work for 1 week anyway. Obviously, more surprising loss was the Bucs at the Panthers. 11-point favorites, and just they didn't show up. They lose 21-3. The Panthers seemingly tanking because they trade Christian McCaffrey earlier in the week, and they show up and get the win against Tampa Bay. Carolina really needed a quarterback change. Baker Mayfield had been one of the worst, or statistically was the worst quarterback in the NFL. And give credit to PJ Walker. He came in and played a really nice game, and their defense had been playing hard. And hey, shit happens in the NFL sometimes. It was very similar to the week 1 game when Green Bay and Minnesota played, and Christian Watson dropped the first pass from Rodgers, and you just knew it was going to be a rough day. Same thing here. Brady's one of his first passes is to a wide open Mike Evans, and it would have been a touchdown, and he drops it. And it just kind of set the tone for the entire game, and they couldn't do anything after that. Very interesting now, the bounce back spot here for them at home tomorrow night against Baltimore. The look-ahead line was Tampa -3, and then it got to Baltimore -2 yesterday, and now there's kind of buyback now on Tampa. I don't know what to do with that game. Who the hell knows? These NFL games are just really tough to kind of predict with how just average all these teams are, except for a few. And then the Packers they lay another egg in Washington. And I said it last week, Carson Wentz being out was the worst thing that could have happened to them because the players, I think they actually like Heineke, and he had some history playing with them the last few years, and you could just see it. He's throwing it up for grabs half the time. McLaren just makes some unbelievable plays, but that's just kind of how it goes. The Packers, they get away from the running game. They don't use Aaron Jones enough. Receivers can't get separation. They just have a lot of problems right now, and their defense can't get off the field on third down. But again, the NFC is such a shit show that I think, it's not hopeless for them. They're not like the Lions or, say the Texans or teams like that. I think they can still make a comeback here. It doesn't help that they're playing the Bills this Sunday, but that's just the way the schedule works, and we'll see. Maybe it'll surprise people. The Giants continue their run of just pulling games out of their ass in the fourth quarter. I just don't understand some of these coaches. So it's 17-13 in the fourth quarter. The Jags are ahead. Okay, it's 4th and 1. If you want to convert and score a touchdown, the game is really over. I understand that. But why not kick a field goal in that situation and go up a touchdown? Because sure as shit, as soon as Lawrence got stopped on that sneak, I knew it. I said the Giants are going to go right down the field here and score. And what happened? That's exactly what they did. Jones, started making some plays. Barkley got involved, and they score the go ahead and eventual game winning touchdown. The Jags make it exciting there at the end, getting stopped at the 1 yard line. But I just don't understand it. Same thing in the Sunday night game. I know Andy was enraged by this with Mike McDaniel, the hipster coach of the year for Miami, up 16-10 in the fourth, and instead of kicking the field goal to go up 9, which is 2 possessions in the NFL, this isn't the USFL. You can't get 9 points on a touchdown in a 3-point conversion attempt. He decides to go for it on 4th down. They get stuffed, and there's no more scoring the rest of the game. Those of us holding Steelers plus 7.5 tickets were very happy. People with Miami, not so much. That was a rough one, but I just don't understand some of this decision making. Kansas City routes San Francisco. San Fran has a lot of injuries, but Mahomes still proves he's king. The Jets and Broncos, just every Denver game is just an eyesore. Thank God that London game is buried on ESPN Plus this Sunday. We'll get up and watch it, but that doesn't need to be broadcast to a national audience at this point. Just what a disaster that team is. Legitimately, Hackett might be fired if they lose this game on Sunday. So for that reason alone, I kind of want them to win because I want him to be around as long as possible. But We might not get our wish. The Jags usually do pretty well in London. But yeah, that was just brutal. And the Seahawks continue their amazing play. Like, who would have thought Geno Smith, like one of the highest rated quarterbacks in the NFL, like they sure got the best out of that trade. That's for sure, as we've talked about. And then Matt Ryan, pour one out for his career because it's over. Throws a pick 6 against Tennessee, just looks terrible. And then now the Colts have completely benched him and are going to Sam Ellinger this Sunday. So honestly, like, it might be an upgrade because at least he can run. Like, they can do some read option plays with Jonathan Taylor. I don't know about like his throwing ability. I mean, he had a great career at Texas, but like I just remember him like doing all sorts of running plays at Texas. So at least that they'll have that element to their offense now. But yeah, Matt Ryan, his career is finished, so it was a good run for him. But yeah, it wasn't a great slate of games. I mean, you had a few exciting finishes, but overall, the NFL product just continues to be just kind of poor at the moment. But hey, as we've said, whatever they feed us, we'll watch it every week. As I said, I'll be up watching that Jags Broncos game Sunday morning and gonna hate myself for it.
I'd have to give the Jaguars a lot of credit though for being, in almost all these games. Though I mean, they
can't win them though. Like
they're favored.
Yeah, they make boneheaded.
No, they were favored. You're right. They were favored that last week.
That really annoyed me because like we're sitting pretty -3 in the fourth quarter, and then just again give credit to Dable and the Giants, but they in the clutch situations, like they know how to make the plays to win, and they just capitalize on those mistakes. But they should not be 6-1. Like, this train is going to end soon.
Seattle.
Yes, I agree. I'm with you.
Well, that's what I'm kind of like leading into it, but I'm very interested in that game. Like, Giants Seahawks is going to be quite a watch. And Andy, you followed this team closely. I finally had a chance to watch a complete Seahawks game last week because they were at the Chargers. I'm shocked how good their offense is good. I'm like, wow, I was really impressed. Like, I'm sorry about DK's injury, but man, like that offense was good. Walker was looking good. Lockett was looking good. Geno's getting it done. Like, it's a good offense. So, Andy, let's get your thoughts on last week.
Yeah. So I'll do Seahawks, and I'll wind it back to that dreadful Jaguars game. But so the Seahawks, unfortunately, Metcalf is out. They expect him to play at some point again. They just don't have a concrete timetable. But Walker from Michigan State's really good, and he's going to have to be because Rashard Penny got injured maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, so he's out for the year. And with Metcalf out for the year, they're just going to have to be a little more creative. And I don't know. Sorry, Yachts. Sorry to hear that, Yachts, with the Chargers. I mean, but that was our pick. I think we took Seattle. I just had a weird feeling that Seattle would be ready, and the Chargers, they always kind of, you just knew the combo of those two teams, like, it wasn't going to be a boring game. And the thing about Seattle is none of their games are boring. And the thing about the Giants is all their games are boring. So something's going to have to give this Sunday. But the reason why the Seahawks games are never boring is because their defense isn't that good. So you're going to have, like, missed assignments, explosive plays, fumbles. Their punter's a moron. So the punter has, like, fumbled twice, like, unprovoked. You just really never know what you're going to get. Like, Geno might throw an interception or two. Their defense might, like I said, their defense isn't that good, although it's gotten better. Like, it was pretty impressive against Herbert on Sunday. I don't know if Herbert's still nursing an injury because they didn't really let him loose. And he didn't really run like he used to. He didn't really throw any deep balls like he used to. But, yeah, Seattle's a pleasant surprise. I am holding a over 5.5 game ticket. They're 4-3 right now, so they just need to carve a path to 2-8. I'm not going to the window yet. Their schedule does, like, there's some meat to that bone with their schedule. So, back when we were looking at their schedule, I was like, oh, you could find 5.5. You could find 6 wins, and 2 of them were like the Jets and the Giants respectively. And now those might be one of the tougher games on their schedule. So yeah, we'll see. They're 4-3, and right now, like the way Denver is just completely trending, like a plane crashing into a mountain. Like they could end up with like a top 5 pick. Denver, because they have all those picks from the Russell Wilson trade. But yeah, things are cool for Seattle. As for the rest of the week, yeah, I'm still so angry about that Jacksonville game. ETN fumbling at the Giant 2-yard line when he's basically going in for a touchdown was very haunting. John already chronicled the decision to not kick the field goal when you're up 4 points. Peterson, kick the field goal, you moron. Lawrence needs to kind of apply some touches to his passes. Not everything has to be a bullet. You still see some good things of the Jaguars. They're just not a team that I voluntarily like to bet. I only took them because the whole world was taking the Giants +3. And I don't really like being on that side when like everyone's taking the Giants and everyone that took them got bailed out. Now, having said that, everyone also took everyone was taking Kansas City against San Francisco, and I'm like, I am not gonna be the hipster taking San Fran. I don't care. I'm taking the Chiefs, so that worked out. I think, I think the 49ers are a couple weeks away from realizing their. I don't think you can realize their full potential with the injuries they have, but it's going to take a while to get McCaffrey going. And I know, Dave, you mentioned it. Like, we all mentioned the whole McVay, Shanahan. Shanahan basically puts McVay in a body bag, and you're like, it has to end at some point. So I think you took the Rams on that Monday night a month ago, and it didn't work out. But I'm foreshadowing. I think I'm probably going to take the Rams this Sunday.
Wait, that's very interesting. I did take the Niners because I was big on that trend at that point. I find it interesting that you're going the other way, though. That's interesting, Andy. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Rams this Sunday. I don't know. We'll see. But some of the other games from last week, yeah, like who would have thought? John definitely sick to realize it, but like Aaron Rodgers has lost to Heineke, Dan Jones, and Kyle Wilson. Like that's crazy. That is crazy. Tom Brady losing to not Paul Walker, PJ Walker, as Matt Rule sees. Matt Rule watched that game with tears in his eyes, and like, that's my old quarterback from Temple. That's my team. But NFL's crazy. Like you would have thought that was the game that Tampa like gets right. And now they're playing the Ravens. The Ravens, they make all their games interesting. And everyone's like, how are you going to take Tampa tomorrow? I'm probably going to take Tampa tomorrow. I might regret it, but I don't know. These Thursday games are so fucking hard to handicap because of the short week or whatever. But I don't know. If Tampa doesn't get it right, like tomorrow, I don't know when. But that division is shaping up to be like the NFC East was a couple of years ago when it was like 8-8's going to win it. It could be that way right now. Maybe not going to be 8-8 because maybe it'll be 8-9. Maybe it'll be 7-10 because of the extra game, So it's not going to be 8-8 like the NFC East was a couple of years ago. But that division is an absolute train wreck, and you can't steer your eyes away from train wreck. So we're going to be paying attention. Like Tampa probably going to still win that division as bad as they've been. I don't think Atlanta's going to sustain like what they're doing. And they actually didn't look good against Cincinnati last week. I was wrong about that one. Burrow completely shredded the Falcon defense to ribbons, cut them to ribbons. And then the other game that pissed me off was Houston, Las Vegas. So that was a pick, Houston +7. They're up 21-20, or they're up 20-17. Yeah, they're up 20-17 going into the fourth quarter. Final score 38-20. With about 4 minutes left, they were only down 4 with the ball at midfield, 3rd and 1. They get stuffed, thinking about going for it. Delay of game, Lovie Smith punt the ball. Next thing you know, touchdown, LA or Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, you're down 11. This is backdoor material. 3 plays later, pick 6. Now you're down 18. That's Lovie Smith in a nutshell. That was like a game that I had like. That was the most like nondescript game of the week. Like I had it in the corner, my TV set, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm watching. It's the Raiders, it's the Texans. It's so boring because you had the Jacksonville Giants nonsense going on. I had a money line parlay go up in smoke with the Packers. That Packer game, Taylor Heineke throwing off his back foot time and time again, converting all those third downs. It's just garbage. The muff punt, so haunting for the Packers. John was right. They're better off with Carson Wentz if you're a Packer fan, but Heineke is better than Carson Wentz in this. Just the way Wentz is, he's an absolute statue. But what are some of the other stuff? Yeah, the Browns were the Browns, missing that field goal. They still covered, though, so good for them. Belichick laying an egg. I don't want to talk about Pat's Bears, but some crackpots think that Belichick hates the Jets so much that he deliberately laid an egg against the Bears so he can break Hallis's record against the Jets. I don't buy that. The Patriots, they don't have freebies like that. That's a stupid theory. Although part of my brain's like, maybe. But no. Like, they let Fields look amazing. It pissed me off. That defense looked like shit. Detroit, Dallas, that game bothered me because I had St. Brown on a fantasy team. I had Detroit getting the points. They said St. Brown had a concussion. It turned out he didn't have a concussion. That bothered me. So fantasy went up in smoke. Another example of why the Lions are the fucking Lions. They get the ball at the 1 yard line. They're down either 3 or 4. I think they're down 3. And they're at the 1 yard line, and Tony Romo's like, "Why are they hurrying? Like, if anything, they should like challenge the spot. He might have gotten in, but they're rushing. They're all helter skelter. Next play, fumble. Dallas recovers. They go 99 yards or whatever." And that's Detroit in a nutshell. I mean, that game was close for 90% of that game. And if you look at the score, it's like, oh, it wasn't close, but it was close. Dak Prescott looked like shit. Fucking Dallas. So, yeah, that was annoying. And, yeah, the Sunday night game was annoying. The Monday night game was annoying. It wasn't like Saturday. Saturday was a lot more fun from a gambling standpoint. Let's just put it that way.
I know where you're coming from. I mean, I think that Dallas covering that game was a bullshit cover. They were never covering most
that
of
game. Dave, you were right. That game was like that. So I know we're rambling. They're all over the place. So that game ended like at 11:45 our time because there was so much running. That game was over. Nance was like, "We'll see you later." That Oklahoma State Texas game was like 4 hours and 15 minutes long. It's just that's another topic.
That's so interesting.
That game ended like almost like 45 minutes before some of those like that for whatever that Packer Redskin game WFT game like didn't end like that. Game like ended 45 minutes after the Dallas game ended.
Well, I think it's funny because the fourth quarter of that Dallas game started when the Jaguars game, I think it was, went to halftime. Or no, I think that's the game you're talking about. I think the Washington game went to halftime. That was weird to watch. Like that was just so funny. So all right, well let's move on to this week, and why not? Because like we said, there's some ugly action last week, but better action this week. So I'm looking forward to the picks. And John, we'll go to you first for your look at Week 8 NFL picks. It's all yours.
All right, so we're doing the picks now, Dave, or are we doing like the featured games?
I think we do the picks first, don't we?
Okay. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure.
Remember.
We'll do the picks.
Does anybody remember? Like, yeah. Okay. So we'll go.
All right.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll start with the Seahawks -3. They were good to me last week. We're gonna keep riding them. I mean, what else is there to say? This Giants luck box has got to end here at some point. Cross country trip to Seattle. Geno Smith's been playing some great football. The Giants defense is exploitable. I still don't know how they're, making this work with Daniel Jones. It's clearly some great coaching, obviously on Dable's part, and they're just winning in the key situations. But again, they easily could have lost last week by more than the 3 points. They were down 10 to the Ravens in the fourth quarter. The Packers were up 2 touchdowns at halftime. I mean, the list goes on and on of these wins that they just pull out of their ass. And at some point, it's just not going to happen. We hope it's this week. We hope the Geno Smith show carries on. We hope Kenneth Walker continues his great start to his career, both for our bet and for fantasy football purposes. I just think Seattle just laying a field goal at home. I think we're gonna trust in it, and we're gonna hope the Giants' magic carpet ride ends here in this situation. So, Seahawks -3 for pick number 1, and pick 2. Fuck it, why not? Let's just do it. Green Bay +10.5. I mean, if there's any game that they're just gonna show up and get this, I'm not gonna say turned around, because they still could lose this game because the Bills are a great team, but this is like, it's almost like, I'm not gonna say they're Super Bowl, but it's kind of like a last stand scenario here. Like, the Packers are going to put everything they have into this game. Like, I don't think Rodgers wants to be embarrassed on national television. Like, they're going to put their best effort into this. Bills might be a little bit sleepy coming off of a bye week. You would think the opposite, like they'd be ready to go, but I think there's going to be more urgency with Green Bay in this spot. The line is clearly inflated. I think it was like 6, maybe in the look ahead 7. And the Packers have looked like shit, but they haven't been like blown out in any of these games. I just think it'll be a game in the fourth quarter. 10.5 points. I know like the back door will be wide open here. If you're down like 13 or something, and get a late touchdown. I mean, just hope that Jordan Love's not playing late in the game, that Rodgers is still in there. But I just think it's gonna be like, I don't have any pure football reasons to make this pick. It's just all like a motivational spot, and I just think it's just a little bit too big of a line. So we'll go with Packers +10.5 with Rodgers to get back on track and keep it a competitive game, and then Seattle -3 are the 2 picks for week number 8. Honestly, like, this card was really hard for me to try to find some games. This is a tough week. I would say my next pick off the cutting room floor would be Cliff getting 4 at Minnesota, and when that's your 3rd best pick of the week, we have some problems here. So it's a tough week.
Yeah, I hear that. There's something to that, John. All right, thank you for the picks, and good luck, of course. Let's go to Ron's picks then, sent in via the text, and here they come for week number 8 in the NFL. So Ron's picks, here they come. Let's see. He's going to first go with a divisional matchup. He's taking the Tennessee Titans, giving 2.5 at the Texans. So the Texans came off a pretty big win against the Raiders last week, and honestly, the Raiders came off a pretty rough loss against the Raiders last week. I mixed up who won, but so you'd think that the Texans might bounce back here, but honestly, Well, I think Ron's on the right side of this one. So Titans giving 2.5. Ron's second pick is Rams getting 1.5 versus the 49ers. Andy alluded to this a few minutes ago. Very interesting spot. So the picks for Ron: Titans giving 2.5 and Rams getting 1.5 at home against the 49ers, who now have Christian McCaffrey. Very interesting stuff. So Ron, good luck. Thanks very much for the picks. And we roll over to the picks I have for week number 8. Here they come. Okay, for the week 8, well, what are we going to do? I'm going to point to a trend that has spanned over 5 decades. Actually, really over almost 6 decades at this point. And it's the trend of the Steelers' drought against the Eagles in Philadelphia. They have not won a game in Philadelphia, and I recognize that they don't play that often, and they really didn't before the 2002 realignment. But the fact remains, they haven't won a game in Philadelphia in a really long time. The last win was before the merger, 1965. Now, what does that really mean? Generally doesn't mean a lot, but I do know that the Steelers are trash this year. And I know that the Eagles are coming off a bye. The one thing you got to watch out for with the Eagles, though, is if they do get up early by 17 points or 21 points, despite what I'm about to pick here, you probably want to fade them at halftime. Because what the Eagles have done notoriously is sit on the lead and not do a whole lot on offense in the second half. And that's a very dangerous road. And I think one of these days that's going to happen. So that's like the one little side bet I would recommend in addition to this pick. But for the game, I love the Eagles laying the 10.5. I really, honestly, I mean, even though they are probably going to sit on whatever lead they've got, I don't think this is going to be a close game. So I think the Eagles are definitely going to win. If you can put the Eagles in some money line parlays, you really should. Because, give me a reason why the Steelers would win that game. They barely can run the ball at this point, even when whether Najee's in there or not. Kenny Pickett just loves throwing the ball to the other team. And their defense, I mean, has been doing its best, but I can't see it. I can't see it. I don't know how they're going to slow down the Eagles here. So, Eagles giving 10.5, game 1. Game number 2, which now to me feels like I'm a contrarian in light of what other people have been saying. But I'm going to go on the public side of this. I'm going to take the 49ers giving 1.5. Now, when I say public side, I'm going to double check that. Let me see where this public is on this. Oh, it's very public. Oh my God. Okay. So I'm probably going to play the clown side of this. We're going to go with the 49ers giving 1.5 at the Rams. Listen, this might be a bad pick, but look, this is one of those scenarios where until it's proven wrong in the regular season, I do say regular season because the Rams did win in the playoffs. I'm going to ride it. I'm going to go get 49ers giving 1.5. They're coming off a loss. Rams are coming off a bye, but I just don't think they're that good. So, I don't know. Shanahan has a way. So, 2 Mongo picks for you. Eagles giving 10.5 and 49ers giving 1.5 for week 8 in the NFL. Hey, listen, I might go in 2, but I stand by it. I really feel like this is what we're going to see come Sunday. So we'll see. All right, Andy, off of that nonsense, I'd love to get your picks for week number 8 in the NFL.
Yeah, again, I got checker on a checker possibilities with both of y'all. And I'm definitely playing Green Bay. Eddie, give me Aaron Rodgers against the spread on Sunday night when you get a chance, will you? I don't have it off the top of my head, but you get me that? No, nice. I don't know. Someone's got to have it at some point. I'm sure it'll be on Twitter. I just don't like betting against Aaron Rodgers on Sunday night as non-Aaron Rodgers has been this year. I don't know. But anyway, I'm not going to make that my pick. I'm going to go checker on a checker with John's other pick, and I'm taking Seattle -3 this Saturday, or this Sunday. I'm sorry. A little out of it. I want LT56 to say how he hates the Seahawks fans. I want Gamble to say how the rest hate the Giants. No, that's other stuff. I just think this giant luck box it's got to end at some point. And obviously the odds makers are kind of still not sold on the Giants, as the Seahawks are a 3-point choice. Listen, the Seahawks they're not winning the Super Bowl this year. They're playing probably a couple levels above their anticipated ability, but the game is at home. This city does have a bunch of Mongo fans. It will be loud. As the Giants are boring, they play all these one-possession games. I looked it up. Out of their 6 wins, 4 of them they were losing in the fourth quarter. One of them they were tied, and the other one they were up 3. So I don't think it's sustainable for all this time. And as for the Seahawks, let's just keep that mojo going. They play close games too. They've laid 1 egg, and that was at San Francisco week 2. Their loss against the Saints was kind of wild and crazy. Their loss against the Falcons was wild and crazy, and their wins against the Cardinals, you know what I mean. They just play kind of kooky games, and the Giants play boring games. Give me the Seahawks -3, checker on a checker with John. Game number 2, I'm going to go head-to-head with you, Dave. I'm going to take the Rams. Yeah, I do know McVay is owned by Shanahan. Playoff game, San Francisco still ended up covering that game, if I'm not mistaken. The Rams won, but I am going to take the Rams just based on the bye week angle. McCaffrey needs to soak the playbook angle. Garoppolo is gonna make a couple what the fuck kind of throws, and I think the Rams, they're due to kind of show the world that we're Super Bowl contenders. We've laid a bunch of eggs already this year. We've been uninspired, but I think this bye week is if you're not gonna reset the button after the bye week, I don't know when that button's gonna be reset. Plenty of football left. They still got to play the Seahawks twice. They can definitely right the ship. Stafford looks kind of clownish, but Cup is still Cup. The guy they got from the Jaguars, Robertson, started to get a little more involved. Higbee's good. And that defense has been, Dave, we watched that Bills game together. They look like dew. But they're better than what they've shown. So I want to see something out of the Rams this Sunday. Give me the Rams getting the 1.5. Week 8 NFL.
That would be a fun. Geographically, I could be in the building for that game, but the tickets are going to. That'd be a great game to be at the building, and right? Might be worth the money. I mean, that would be it's going to be electricity in that building. That's going to be interesting. Stuart Hayek with a pick. Buffalo giving 10.5, so going head-to-head with John on that one. But, you can't really kill that. I mean, the Bills have been great all year, so we'll see. Let's look at the featured games then. And, no, not one more. We got Kevin on the Capes picks, so let's go bring those up to the table. And here we go. Kevin's picks for Week 8 in the NFL are these. Here we go. Okay, so... Oh, wow, this is interesting. Okay, so game number 1, he's gonna be on the Falcons giving 4 at home against the Panthers, and as you saw, the Panthers humiliated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a week ago, and the Falcons had a very rough loss to the Bengals. I actually did, just like John and Andy. I also thought the Falcons were gonna stay in that game, but give credit to the Bengals. They really were too much, but here. In a divisional game, could be a different story. So that's game number 1. Game number 2 for Kevin. He's going head-to-head with both John and Andy, and he's going to take the Giants getting 3 at the Seahawks. So the picks for Kevin, Falcons -4, Giants +3 for the NFL in week number 8. Good stuff. Now let's go look at the featured games. Featured games for the NFL in Week 8. I think I threw a bunch of them on there. I'm not even sure how many of these really should be on there. I definitely think Giants Seahawks is a very fun one. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to end up in the victor in that one. That's actually a genuinely very interesting game for me. I don't think it's going to be on locally because, as I mentioned, the 49ers are going to be at home. The Rams are going to be at home at the same time. Oh, whoops! The Chiefs 49ers game from last week's in there. I should take that out. But at any rate, the Bears and the Cowboys will lead it off. I think the Bears could muck it up a bit. We'll see. Patriots Jets. I actually think that could have juice. I could have juice because I think, the interesting scenario with Zappy and Mac Jones. I'm curious as to where Andy is on the whole quarterback scenario. We mentioned 49ers, Rams, Packers, Bills. You just never know. You know what? I think it's fair to say that even though it seems on paper like the Bills will absolutely destroy the Packers, I don't think that's a given. You just never know. Sometimes the lights can really energize the folks who've been there before, and Rodgers is most definitely that. So I wouldn't make that an easy. You know what I mean? I think it could go. You could definitely see the Packers hanging in there against the Bills. We'll see. So let's go look at. Let's see what you all think of these games as well. John, we'll go to you first. What do you think of as far as the upcoming week action?
Yeah, so Dave, you don't have the Thursday night game on there, so not much interest in Bucks and Ravens tomorrow night. Um, but the injury report for both teams is just it's ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how you like Andy was saying, I don't know how you handicap these games with just all these players injured. I think the move for Thursday night football has been like the under. Although last week that wouldn't have worked with the Arizona New Orleans game, but with all those injuries and how just in general, like it's just been so lethargic on Thursday night football. That could be the move, and just what the Bucks offense has been doing. But yeah, last week's Thursday night game was rough. I mean, the Saints easily could have won that. Dalton just dodo with those pick sixes, and he's the starter now. Like moving forward, Dennis Allen named him the starter, so I guess they're tanking now too. The whole NFC South is tanking. The Panthers could win the division seriously. Like it's a crazy thought, especially if they beat Atlanta this week. They might get right back in the mix. You don't have that great ESPN Plus game Sunday morning, Jags and Broncos in London.
Coach watch.
Can't wait. Can't wait for that one. I don't think Buck and Aikman are doing that. I think it's like the B team. So like Steve Levy and whoever the hell else they got. I don't even know who they have for their B announced team now, because I know Louis Riddick has been doing college football. So, and Greasy went back to coaching. Oh, you know who? It might be Dan Orlovsky. It might be Steve Levy and Dan Orlovsky. So prepare yourself for Sunday morning if you get ESPN Plus and you're tuning into that game. But yeah, I don't even know where Nance and Romo are this week. I know Andy's on top of that. I'm guessing Patriots and Jets.
They
Is
actually-
that game
No, they're
for Sunday?
doing Steelers.
I don't
That
know.
was, yeah.
Steelers
It's like,
Eagles.
yep.
But
So they're covering the Steeler game, John. That's wild, huh?
oh no, really? Steelers and Eagles. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. The Pennsylvania battle. But yeah, I mean, it's an okay card. The Patriots and Jets, division matchup. The Jets certainly playing above their weight so far. I don't even know if you can hear me, Dave, anymore, because I think my internet is just like
I hear you.
dropping. Oh, we're good. Okay, good.
Mhm.
I always know that when my TV starts to go out, my internet is just like shitting the bed. But now it's back, so we're good. Yeah, the Patriots, that was just pretty rough on Monday. Maybe the Bears figured something out with Fields. They actually have an athletic quarterback. Maybe design some runs for him. That's maybe the smart thing to do, and they actually did it. So that Cowboy game now is really interesting with their Bears. Spread's 10. Like,
Yeah.
would you not want to take Chicago to kind of hang in that game? I think I would. I tend to agree with Andy on the Rams pick. Home dog coming out of the bye. Like, if McVay's ever going to beat Shanahan, it's going to be in this spot. I mean, he did beat him in the NFC Championship game, so it can be done. I already talked about Giants, Seahawks, and Packers, Bills. The Bengals on Monday night, that was like kind of a next pick of mine off the cutting room floor, I guess. Bengals -3 against the bad Browns defense. Like, that seems like a pick that needs to be made. The Bengals starting to find their stride. The only reason I didn't make it is because I saw it was 3.5, and that just kind of scared me. But if it goes back down to 3, I think we'll be in. Maybe even if it stays at 3.5. I mean, the Bengals, Burrow's has been looking great the last 2 weeks. I think they're finally starting to find something. The Carolina-Atlanta game is all of a sudden interesting. That was kind of like Carolina's Super Bowl. So if Atlanta's any kind of a halfway decent team, like, they'll cover that at home. It's just really scary. Just laying points in general with the Falcons. I'd rather much take them as an underdog, but I think Atlanta's probably the play there.
Yep.
And then, yeah, who could forget the matchup of Sam Ellinger and Taylor Heineke at 4 p.m. with the Colts and the Commanders? That's a game for the ages for sure. Who the hell do you go with in that? I don't know.
Well, yeah,
don't
no,
bet.
keep going. But yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, you don't want to bet that one. I don't even know who I would lean in that game. No clue. Tennessee -2 at Houston. That seems really short to me, but I guess Tannehill is kind of up in the air, questionable. But even if they have Malik Willis in there, just hand the ball to Derrick Henry 40 times. You can win the game 13-10, and you cover 2 points. Like, that seems like a winning strategy to me. That line seems pretty short. Yeah, and that's I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, the Steelers-Eagles game will be interesting to see what the Eagles do coming off a bye. See if Pickett can do anything against the Eagles defense. I mean, the Steelers have been hanging in these games pretty good. Like, I don't know if I would want to pick them to win, but cover maybe. It's always rough just laying big points in the NFL. It's nothing like college football. Like, anything could kind of just keep a game tight for a little bit. So yeah, it should be an interesting week. It's a decent slate of games on paper.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was actually looking forward to this compared to a week ago. Like, when I even seeing the matchup, I'm like, oh boy, like a week ago, like it was like, oh boy, but this week it's a little different. And Modfather with these comments, Stuart Hayek, and my thoughts: people still overrating the Packers and Bucks. As a result, teams that beat them are also overrated. Commanders are only getting 3, so bet on Colts to cover the spread. Panthers plus 4.5, and Atlanta, so bet Atlanta straight up. So, which is very similar to what we were thinking. Like, I think we figured the same. Bears traded Quinn. Team will feel they gave up on the season might spoil the game. That's an interesting thought on the Bears. I wonder about that. I'm kind of curious about that too. But
I did see like Roquan Smith was basically like crying at the press conference today after they told him that. So could be something to that. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good nugget by Stuart there. Andy, let's get your look ahead to this week's action. I'll bring the slide back up.
So I'm looking at lamb chops for dinner. I'm sorry.
Ooh, that sounds great. Oh man. Love that.
I don't know. I don't deserve it. I'm 0-2 with my bets right now, so I might have to get Wendy's. I don't know. But no, John made some good points about these games. You don't have to put. I mean, you're just doing that for the Jet fans.
Well,
I'm just kidding. It's still a big game.
It's gonna be a good game though. Like, it's a divisional game, and yeah.
So John and Dave, I think he's going back to Mac Jones. Apparently at practice today, he took 90% of the reps. It's just, I don't know what he's doing. Like, everyone that with the brain and the eyes, like, I think Zappy's better. Now, New England fans, we're kind of like, we have our portion of Yankee captain style. Like, I thought it was a little harsh for Mac Jones to get booed as he did on Monday night, because let's big picture. He had a pretty good year last year. He's just a rookie. He had one like horrible quarter, which was last Monday against the Bears, and he's getting booed because Zappy has had a very short sample size himself. I don't know. We're spoiled. But Bill, I mean, I know there's a method to his madness. It's just weird. Like, stick with one of these guys. Like, the team, I don't think is going to go anywhere more than 8-9 this year. So I don't know what you're going to do. Like, but it does seem like the team has a little more hop to their step with Zappy behind center than it does with Mac. But maybe that's just me being a Mongo. But this Jet team is frisky. Sauce Gardner's awesome. But I'll probably bet the Pats like a clown, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, like, it's funny, if you look at the map, like, almost just as many people are going to see Giants, Seahawks as, like, the national broadcast of the Rams and the Niners. That's just the way it is. And then, like, a very, very, very select few will be watching. There's another game going on at that time. It just escapes me right now. I'm not going to look, but
the Colts game is actually a 4:00 game, believe it or not, which is
I think
ridiculous.
that's the other one.
Yeah. So that little sliver will, those poor people in market have to watch that game. But it's like, you get the package, get the yeah, there you go, Dave.
Yeah, there you go. Popped it up.
I mean, it's too bad that Wentz and Ryan can't be in that game. Like, that's too bad. They scheduled that game 2 weeks too early. Imagine Wentz versus Matt Ryan. Don't. Sorry, but like you guys, well, Dave, you might not. I don't know. They changed the clock, so getting up for us, we only have to get up. It'll feel like 7:30 for us, and I will be that sicko with. I'll have my coffee. I'll get up refreshed to get ready. Maybe get a croissant and watch that
Yep.
Jaguar Bronco game. Because like you guys said, I wish So Wilson, do we know if he's playing or not? I know he's doing the stretches of the
Yeah,
plane.
he stretched for 4 hours on the plane, so he's got to be playing at this
Good.
point. Yeah,
So,
he's got to be playing.
To rant, John, did you have the Broncos last week?
No, I just took the easy bet and took the under because I knew neither team was going to score. I saw like all the sharps were on Denver, and like they were saying how, what's his name, Ripon is like better than Wilson or just as good as Wilson. That's horseshit.
No.
Like he looked terrible. Even a washed Wilson is better than that Ripon guy. So, yeah, I still might like the Jaguars in this game, even if Wilson plays, but like Ripon is nowhere near Wilson, even in his diminished state.
No, I took, not to channel my inner Stookie, but like, yeah, it's one of those games. Like, I think the Broncos had more first downs, they had more time of possession, they had more yards, but Ripon sucks. Like, they could not do anything when it actually got to like meaningful third downs. But yeah, we're talking about that Jaguar Denver game. Like, those Denver games, like you can't look away. Like they're just so ugly. And I just love watching Hackett look so flustered and confused out there. Like, so I'm going to watch that game like an absolute sicko. And I'm probably going to take Cliff Kingsbury. Like, Kingsbury versus Kevin O'Connor, whatever his name is. Why am I taking the Kingsbury when the Vikings are coming off bye? That could really bite us in the ass. But they're getting 5, hopefully maybe even 5.5 by Sunday. I don't know. But, yeah, like this podcast has now talked me into the Bengals. It's talked me into Kingsbury. It's I'm already on board with the Packers. Yeah, it's funny because like Bills Packers was a game that we all circled in the summer. Like that's a great Sunday night game. And now, I mean, it still is a great Sunday night game because it's still Green Bay. Like, guys like Rodgers, guys like Brady, even guys like LeBron who are watching right now, like they have so much currency and equity. Like, like we still have this 1, 2, 3. I believe like they can just turn it around because they've proven in the past that they can. So I'm gonna take Green Bay getting all those points. I know the Bills like look awesome and they have been like amazing and they got a great defense and Josh Allen this and Stephon Diggs that, but whatever. It's just I'm watching Sunday night and I'm watching tomorrow night. I'm taking Tampa. My mind is made. I'm taking Tampa. Fuck, but it is what it is. Michael Evans on the fantasy team, and yeah, like Eagles. They haven't been tested. It's kind of crazy. We're gonna have to wait and see. I don't think it's gonna be this Sunday, Dave. As you know, you're taking the Eagles, so it's gonna be interesting when like Hurts has to play in a cold, windy environment, and it's like tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Let's see how they respond, because they've been a surprise team too. Like, if there's one silver lining to this season, it's like that NFC is like completely up for grabs because like a lot of people was like it's going to be Tampa, Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. So you're going to have these people that didn't expect to be there, like kind of be there in January. So yeah, we have a lot of meat to this NFL bone. Everyone's got about 10 games left. Yeah, we're in. I'm in. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah, I'm with you. Andy, just remember I was mentioning earlier how the Eagles tend to sit on leads at halftime. Like, do you see that too? Do you notice the same thing? Like, they really.
Well, I think it's only natural. Like, Tulane did it. Tulane did it on Saturday. They're up 35-0. Like, what do you? It's like, what do you tell your team? You're up so many points. Like. And you get that 15-minute break in college, it's like 25 minutes, and you got to come out again, and it's hard. It's hard, It's like in all sports, not to get too soaky, but like in baseball, if the starting pitcher has to sit for 40 minutes because their team is scoring like 10 runs, and they have to go out there, it's tough, right? Basketball, it's tough.
It is. It is. Stuart Hayek, I said last week the Bucks and Pack are a bad bet for the rest of the year. If you like them, then maybe you should take a flyer. I think the Bucks are absolutely a bad bet. Like it's been I didn't catch. Let me go back to the picks just to see if anyone was on Tampa Bay this week. But I would definitely, I would not want to take them the rest of the season. Like of the two, I think I would feel better with the ball, even if it's a public. I don't even care. Like I think of the two, I think the Ravens are the ones I'd rather go to here. So since we have a little bit of extra time tonight, like, would you guys like to weigh in on the Thursday game? Which way would you lean as far as Thursday night football coming up tomorrow?
Well, I just said I was going to take Tampa.
You were on Tampa. Okay, right on. Okay.
Yeah, but the Ravens, and John can share his thoughts after, but, like, I don't know. The Ravens have, like, I don't know, John Harbaugh, did he hit his head on concrete this year? Because they've made some pretty confounding fourth quarter decisions, like that Miami game. But yeah, I'm curious. Because if I wasn't gonna know tonight, we'd know tomorrow who John's picking. So I'd like to know who John's gonna pick tomorrow, if it's not just an over under.
Yeah, like I said, I lean the under. Like these Thursday games have been rough, and the way the Bucks offense has been playing, I mean, it's like 45.5. That seems, even if it's 24-21, like that's asking a lot of Tampa to get over 20 points right now. But just in terms of the spot itself, you keep saying it every week. All right, this is the week for Tampa. This is the week for Tampa. Like, I don't know. This really could be the spot for Tampa to get back. Like, I'm just going, like I said before, but I'm just going based on like the look ahead lines. Tampa was like -3, and then all of a sudden, based on one game, and granted, they looked horrible, but like that flipped it the line like 5 points. I mean, I don't know. Just based on that value alone, I would say Tampa's the pick, but like I just don't feel confident or comfortable betting them either. So I still need to think about it. I'm definitely in on that under though. Side, I honestly don't know. I don't like betting Tampa, but I also don't like the way the Ravens have been playing. Like you said, they shit the bed in like almost every fourth quarter this year. Like they get up multiple possessions and they just blow it. What could be the better move is if you could do like a teaser. So tease who's ever the dog. I know the line's been flipping. So I think I actually just saw my Tampa -1 now. So take whoever's the dog and like do a 6-point teaser. Like do Ravens +7 if they're the dog, or Bucks +7 with another game that you like on Sunday. And that could be the move for this game. Tease through 3 and 7. So
that's a great idea, because like if you tease 6, I see 1.5 on Action Network. So
so tease it to 7.5, and then then take another dog you like and tease it up another 6 points. Here you go. You got a two-team teaser. So that's what I would. That would be my recommendation for this game. So I can't figure this one out. But like I said, I do think it'll be lower scoring. So.
Yeah, I think
you could tease it. You could tease it with Cougars up to 13.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yep,
I like that a lot. So yeah, really good ideas here, and I think even at face value, like 46.5, I just feel like that's a reach for either team to get that high. I mean,
is that what the current over/under is? 46.5.
I think I saw. Let me double check that.
I think I saw 45.
I think I saw
whatever.
45.5, and then there's one that had 46. So
okay,
yeah.
Either way, I still like it.
Yeah, same. I do too. So, I mean, yeah, I think you're looking pretty good there. I mean, the next key number would be 48. So teasing, I mean, like buying a pointers or something wouldn't make any sense, but 46 looks good. 46 would be good. So, all right, let's give it to you all for final thoughts. And John, I'll go to you. Go to you first.
Yeah, covered a lot. Good luck to everyone's picks. It should be another interesting weekend of action. I when Andy said it before, like, oh, there's only like 4 full weekends of college football or 5 full weekends of college football left. Like, it really hit me. Like, man, we really need to enjoy this. Although with the action starting, there's going to be a football game every day in the month of November, I think starting tomorrow night. So you got to love it. So this is like the best time of the year because you got, obviously all the football, you got, NHL and NBA going on. I will say, like, FanDuel had this awesome promotion. I feel bad for the folks that don't have like the access to this stuff. You had to bet $5 on an NBA game, and they gave you League Pass free for 3 months. So I've been taking advantage of that promotion and watching some NBA. You got the World Series starting, college basketball in 2 weeks. Like, that's, I kind of wish they started the season like after January 1st, because I feel like every year, like I do less and less college basketball before the start of the year. It makes me sad because like I love watching like those early season tournaments and just some of the non-conference matchups. And I always feel like Nan's parachuting in like on January 1st or like early January, with college basketball. But season will be here, so maybe try to pay attention to that. But in summary, great time of the year for sports, and hopefully everyone can find some winners this weekend, and hopefully everyone's picks here can keep on rolling. So thanks again, Dave. It was a fun show.
Yeah, thanks, John. I mean, I appreciate the kind words as well. Talking about access to the DFS, to the sports betting, looks like we're going to have that continue. The news I'm getting on Prop 27 over here is not good. All the stinking Indian tribal gaming casinos just poured on all these ads, claims about homelessness, and it's bad for kids underage gambling. Like, we ain't going to win. It's not going to win. So it's annoying, but we're just going to have to deal with this for another couple years. So, I don't know, what can you do? Andy, let's give it to you for final thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. Starting tomorrow, we have like football orgy every night except the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. But there'll be college basketball on that night, so John can bet college basketball. Fuck! Lightning scored 2 goals in the span of 30 seconds. Whatever. Yeah, might be Wendy's tonight. I don't know, but to John's point about college basketball, yeah, like the first world problem of November college basketball, especially like the first like 3 weeks of college basketball season, like when you're on like the Score app, like you have to scroll through so many games because like there's like non-division 1 teams playing. Like they don't even have like the logo. They just have like a basketball. Cause like you guys know, like UCLA or this might be playing like the Art Institute of California. Like there's so many random like teams that play Division 1 schools in November. So you have to like go through so much noise to find like the games. But I find them. John finds them. Dave, you find them. Like,
yep.
And it is like a first world problem when there's like last year, like Villanova UCLA played like on a Friday night, like at 8:30 p.m. out here. I lost. Fucking Tommy's team. UCLA lost in overtime, I think. But like if that game's like a month later, even like it's got so much more juice. But November basketball is like definitely tough to get into, but like you have to get into it. I mean, you don't have to, but if you do, you want to gamble, it's inventory. Like I always have my stupid rule. It's not a rule, but whenever it's the Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State, every year they play another, Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State, Kansas, and the next year it's Duke. You know what I mean? I always just take the underdog in those games because, like, what do you know about those teams on November 10th? I'll just give me the team getting the points and just see what happens. So I haven't done any college basketball research, but that doesn't really stop me from making any bets in November. But yeah, it's a great show. Halloween is next week. It's hard to believe it's gonna be dark at 5:00 in 4 days. So we seek solace in the action and all this type of stuff. Holiday season's gonna be here before you know it. We'll be doing our bowl preview soon.
Yeah, wild. And then the pickup
in John's league. Give us pop up to John's league.
Yeah.
He everyone's like, who? John's league, but. Maybe get some Twitch people next year.
Of course,
but
absolutely.
He does a hell of a good job. I wasn't expecting like a 16 double bye
Yeah, well, I was trying to accommodate more people because it's just like if it's toward the end of the year and like only 8 people are making the playoffs, it's like why are you sending your picks in? So I wanted to have some levels of interest. Like even if you're in the middle of the pack, like all right, I want to get that single bye over the playing in the first round, so it adds a little intrigue to
It's awesome.
the
It's
mix.
good.
So
What a
yeah.
call, John. Love it.
And yeah, like it must be you behind the scenes doing all the admin stuff. Like, thank you. Like, we just submit our picks, but you letting us know like who's in first, all the reminders, the Google Forms makes it easy for we pay you and we see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun time. I enjoy it, and everyone seems to have fun with the league. It's definitely a twist on it. For people who don't know, it's like a head-to-head thing. So like Dave would send in 7 picks against the spread, or over-unders you could do too, and I would send my 7 picks in, and then like we go head-to-head against each other. So it's kind of like fantasy football where it's like a head-to-head matchup, but it's betting and picks, and then whoever has the better week gets a win in the standings, and it goes all year, and then like the last 4 or 5 weeks is playoffs. I did have to extend it 1 week into like the wild card weekend to accommodate the kind of the format, but that's fine because there's 6 games that weekend, so there's enough. You're gonna have to take at least one over under, but there's enough to go around. It's not like before with only the 4 games I couldn't do it, but 6, like that's like the bare minimum that I could do. So I'm happy with it. So yeah, it's definitely a fun time.
That's really great, John. And it can't be understated how much work goes into that. You really have done a tremendous job, like putting that all together. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work just putting together the picks for this podcast. So you're doing that for like 16 players. That's impressive. Like I'm really impressed. So, yeah, good luck the rest of the way. By the way, I mean I've been pretty bad this year. I hope I won. I didn't check, but if you guys,
Dave, there's plenty of time. Like I said,
yeah.
There's 20 whatever people, like 16 people make it. So you just need a good second half of the year, and you'll be right there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I've been the picks themselves have been better, so I feel good about at least making a run. I did that last year, so it should be fine. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again. Oh, hey, Mon, what's going on? How you doing? Take care, everybody, and good luck. Of course, should be a fun weekend. Take care, everybody. Happy Halloween.
All right, thanks, guys.
You guys.
Take care, everyone.
Good luck.
Good luck. Happy Halloween, fellas. Andy in Seattle, Ron and John in Connecticut. Good times tonight. Mon Samarki, welcome in. It's good to see you again. If you are on Twitch and you want to catch some really great art, catch our friend Mon. She does really great art over on Twitch. The link's in the chat if you're watching our Twitch stream tonight. As for the rest of us here, we're saying goodbye to DidCal, which doesn't mean anything for the actual content of this show. It just means that we're changing the name of the show, but it's the same show. Like we're going to be back. We're going to keep doing the picks and everything else. But next week, the podcast will be rebranded the Sandwich Sports Show officially. And what it means is that for folks who've been following the podcast, they'll see more of a reference to the Twitch channel where we're doing this show live, and but it's the same show. Like it's not going to be there's going to be literally no change to what we're doing. We have the same people. We do the same things. It should be really fun sports every Wednesday, same time as we always do, 9:00 Eastern time, right here on Twitch. So should be good. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Mond is sick as heck. Well, feel better, Mond. I'm so sorry about that. Yep, indeed. But for folks on the podcast side, this has been a lot of fun. And we've been at it for 14 years, and we're going to keep going. Hopefully 14 more. We'll see what happens. Good luck, everyone. And for those of you on the pod, we'll see you next time. Now let's go find someone to raid everybody. Not COVID, just the cold, says Mon. Okay, cool. That's cool. That's good news for sure, because the cold is definitely a lot better in terms of trying to recover from that. Mon, we're going to go find someone to raid. It's good to see you, but when you're feeling better, let me know if you want to do a collab at some point. It'd be really fun. Oh, Kushcon, yeah. Thank you for reminding. Yeah. Oh man, it was incredible. It was incredible. We met so many people. You know, it's interesting. I felt like you would probably get even more out of it than I would, because you would also be down with like Artist Alley, the Makers and Crafts, and also the and for those of you in the YouTube side, we'll see you next time. Sorry, take care.